All right, how you doing?
I'm great, thanks. How are you?
I'm good. So, Philip, we've known each other for a long time, but we've had so many plans, and some of those plans have not been executed. And this is one of the plans that it took like 2 seconds to get it on ground, and it's been executed. How do you feel about us doing this?
I'm excited to do this. I'm excited to talk to you about all these important things.
Okay, cool. So just for the sake of our listeners and for reintroduction, my name is Destin.
I'm Philip. I use he, him pronouns. I am Canadian born. I don't have a migration experience, which we'll talk about a little bit today. I also am involved in a lot of community work, as is Destin.
Okay, thank you, Philip, and good to have you here. So this is going to be the first of, I believe, many. Please bear with us. This is the first episode, and this is technically a trial, but it's going to be what we hope to produce every couple of weeks. I call it Break Room Conversations.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that name?
Love it.
All right, break room conversation. So this is episode 1 today. It's an emergency that we need to talk about it. But, Canada has just released its 2026 budget. There's been quite a few jarring things there. So just to go straight to the chase, what is the budget and why should I care about the budget?
Well, I think everybody should care about the budget, whether regardless of your immigration status, length of time in Canada. We live in a capitalist society that's fueled by politics, right? So it's we are in this political sphere. A lot of my students are I'm not political. And my argument is we're all political. We exist in politics. The budget has such far-reaching consequences or implications in so many areas of life, from housing to climate to education. Think about minimum wage. Think about the criminal justice system and minimum sentencing, funding for services, equal rights. All of these things are money fueled. And so we need to be paying attention to where the government's priorities are and where they're focusing their money, because it kind of gives us a snapshot of what our current political landscape looks like.
Okay, so that's interesting, which means that the everyday person, whether you have a precarious immigration status or not, whether you're involved in business, even if you're just a nurse or a whatever you are, you should care about the budget.
Everybody should care about the budget, yes, absolutely.
And what are the most jarring things that you have noticed about this particular disclosure of the budget?
Well, I guess you and I were talking a lot yesterday about this, because so a particular focus on the budget is around the immigration levels and settlement funding. And this is something that impacts our students greatly. So we've had a lot of conversations and we talked to our students about it yesterday to kind of give some notice and heads up, there's some changes afoot and we really need to pay attention to this because they are going to impact us in the field. And the big two things that we're talking about are the immigration levels and who is coming in and who is being barred or reduced from coming in, and the settlement funding and what money is being put into settlement services to support the integration processes of these diverse migrant populations.
When we look at the current trends in immigration, what can we say about the current trends in immigration based on the rhetoric that exists with the current political climate?
So there is truth to these myths. There's a little bit of truth inside these myths, but it is a lie. There is a lot of miscommunication around it as well. When Trudeau, post-pandemic, Trudeau was in power, and because of how many people were denied coming into Canada during the pandemic, borders were closed, we lost a lot of people. We lost a lot of bodies to do a lot of the work we needed doing. We needed work in healthcare, we needed work in construction. So they kind of swung, once things opened up again, they kind of swung the other way. And there was no checks and balances in place. And people were just coming in. We needed to fill our schools back up with international students. We needed to fill our temporary foreign worker programs. But they kind of took it too far that way. And then people started noticing, okay, there's a lot of housing crisis going on. There's a lot of challenges with inflation and all of these things going on. And the easiest person to blame was the migrant. It's their fault. My rent is so high because there's too many people here. The housing prices are being driven up. The grocery prices are being driven up. I have to wait too long in the doctor line. All of these things are because of the outsider, because of the other. And those are arguments that are based in xenophobia and all sorts of racism and other things. And the unfortunate thing for me and for many people is that our leaders are just perpetuating this. They're not actually addressing the root causes of okay, wait a second. Last year, for example, we cut 50% of international study permits and rent prices still went up 4%. Even though we had 500,000 less people come in last year, rent didn't change. Our rent prices went up, our egg prices are still expensive, I'm still waiting in line at the doctor, like nothing is really changing, and we really need to shift this focus from the migrant to what are the policies? What is going on with housing? Why are we in this situation? What are you doing around our grocery prices? Like, it's not just stopping people from coming in, it's actually addressing greedy landlords, corporations, the people who are getting the big tax breaks up at the top, like the rich. And so these are the issues that we should really be focusing on instead of refugees or undocumented folks or folks on like international students. These are not the ills of our society.
It's so very interesting, and you've mentioned a few points there. You talked about cutbacks as well. What does cutback actually mean to this population?
So I'm going to give some statistics and numbers, but they might be a little bit off, so fact check anything here. But so in terms of the numbers of people coming in, those numbers have decreased, not significantly. If we look at the overall target of migrants coming into Canada in 2026, it's not significantly lower than it is in 2025, but the makeup of who's coming has changed significantly. So there's even more of an emphasis on express entry, on folks coming in through economic class, and 6,000 space, or 10,000 I think it is, 10,000 less refugee humanitarian cases. Like the more vulnerable populations are the door is closed for them, and this door is open for economic migrants. And I know the arguments will be like, well, we need people to come in, and we need people ready to work, and we need people that are going to hit the ground running, and we don't have to hold their hands, and so on. Two things for me: that's not the Canadian traditions that I grew up in. That's not the welcoming the migrant that I learned about growing up. And we have so many wonderful moments in history where we welcomed tens of thousands of boat people after the Vietnam War. We had all these special measures for folks from Somalia and folks from El Salvador, and we have these celebratory things in the past. We're losing sight of that right now, and we're really underlining everything with this xenophobia. And as a result, we're really kind of picking and choosing who's coming in. The resettled refugees have decreased. The numbers of accepted refugee claimants are expected to go down. Humanitarian cases are expected to go down. So it's folks are left without options. Options have really narrowed for people. And what that's going to do is just push people into more precarity. People are going to go underground. People are going to be exploited. People are going to be open to these things and make really difficult decisions. And who knows what's going to happen, but these policies definitely will come down and impact people in myriad ways.
And further talking about impact, you and I both teach students, social service workers, students in the immigrant and refugee field or program. Should they be worried?
Should they be worried? I think we should all be worried right now. I think anybody that's working in this sector, anybody that's working with diverse newcomer populations, whoever they are, we should all be a little bit worried because we're under attack right now. We're under attack in different ways. We're under attack in terms of the numbers. We're under attack in terms of the rhetoric that's happening and how things are being presented by the government and by the media, which is also fueling racism and violence among communities, that people are like, oh, it's their fault, and people are emboldened to say a racist comment to somebody because they think that's the right thing to do right now. So it's just really shifting the balance between who we should be supporting and who is facing challenges. Anyways, I'm on a tangent right now, but I'll come back to it. So should students be worried? Yes, but worry isn't the worst thing, right? Worry means we just have to kind of pivot. Worry means we have to figure out a game plan of navigating our way through this. We had a big talk with our students yesterday that another thing that's happening with this budget is $50 million less. Clients are going to have to travel further to get services. They're going to have to wait longer for services. It's going to have a lot of impacts on people in different ways. But there are ways to be thoughtful and creative, and IRCC is not the only funder that's doing this work. So we really need to it's ridiculous, but we need to call on other organizations and foundations and stuff to really step in and support this work, because the people aren't going to stop coming, right? The refugee claimants are still going to come here, and we still have a obligation with the 1951 Geneva Convention to process refugee claims. And so those numbers aren't going to change. The work still needs to be done. It's just not being supported. And on another note on this, they're reducing the funding of services, but they're increasing the funding of CBSA. So they're focusing on policing and surveilling and taking away supports, mental health services, housing supports, getting kids into school and like feeling comfortable and safe in schools. Like all of these things are just healthcare. Yes, all of these things are beside the point, where we want to focus on policing and surveilling and deporting. And we talked about this yesterday. We're not far off from the US right now. We're not far off from Trump's policies or the ideology behind those policies. And right now in Canada, we don't see ICE tackling people or CBSA tackling people and pulling them out of daycares and going into schools and all of those things. But we're doing it through policy. The attacks are still happening. We're still sending the message, we don't want you here. We have to look after our own first. You're beside the point. You're down the road. And another way we can see this is in the processing times, right? The processing times for applications are taking 8, 9, 10 years right now. It's a deterrent in my mind. I would argue it's to say, like, don't bother.
Yeah, Canada is arguably doing it the Canadian way, very polite.
Yeah.
Very polite and still enforcing these discriminatory policies. Just to bring things home, and you've talked about all of these pressures that is mounting, but one thing is for sure, there's still a lot of vulnerable people out there in the world. There's a lot of people who are actually just, battling life or death. Yeah. And they're still going to come. Mm-hmm. As you said, and as we know. Just to simplify this for those who maybe arrive in Canada now and in the next couple of years, what kind of advice would you give them on how to navigate these changes and these challenges that are seeming to be inevitable?
Yeah, I would suggest getting connected with community. I think one of the things a similar thing happened under Stephen Harper in like 2011, 2012. They cut $50 million from settlement services across Canada, and like $45 million was from Ontario. So at that time, like doors closed, or a lot of people were out of work, and whole organizations shut down, programming disappeared. But what came out of that was new collaborations and like innovation in new ways of like, okay, we are in this together. We need to figure out the most efficient and effective way to support these communities in this storm that we're in right now. And we're in a storm again. And so I think things are going to come out around advocacy and collaboration and building partnerships and all sorts of other things. So with my hope that that's kind of one of the positives that might come out of this, I would really encourage folks to get connected with communities. There's a lot of wonderful organizations out there, the Migrant Rights Network, get connected with them, like get connected with settlement organizations, the refugee houses, like it depends on what your situation is, but making sure you're kind of getting connected to a community to help navigate this, and also like acknowledge this is happening. Like it's already wasn't easy to come through these immigration systems. Now it might be harder to come through these immigration systems. So in a trauma-informed, intersectional way, we can help acknowledge that the system isn't great right now. The system isn't focused on you. The system is focused on the decision makers. And so how can we best support you going through this yucky system?
That's $1 million question, and we shall end break room conversations today on this note. It's been a pleasure. My name is Destin, and
Philip.
We are Pipstin. See you soon. Thank you for tuning in, and we shall see you in the next one. Bye.